Hi guys, just a quick video here to show you a little plant haul I got from, read it here, Wood Thrush Native Plant Nursery, and a shout out to them. They just sent me some amazing plants, and to me they were a bargain. I forget exact price right at the moment, but for how nice the plants were, they really just couldn't ask for a better deal. Alright, let me show you what I got here. These two plants are flame, keep in mind this is a native plant nursery. These are flame azalea, rhododendron calendulacum. I'll print that out. Flame azalea, two of them here. Whoa, I hear a bird. They were 14 bucks a piece, so that's not too bad for a native flame azalea. Right here we have a native boneset plant, purported to be a very good pollinator plant. Not necessarily the prettiest plant in the world, but that's the way a lot of native plants are. But you know, not all of them. These flame azaleas are amazingly beautiful plants when they do well. Okay, this here is like I said, the boneset, Eupatorium hippifolium. It says hyssop leaf boneset. This other one over here is the native species of Helenium Autumnale, otherwise known as Sneezeweed. And it's a very nice looking lush plant. Over here is two wild Sienna. Is that what it is here? Not Sienna, but like the van, but Senna, S-E-N-N-A. You can see it's got just really interesting looking leaves. I don't have any plants that have leaves like that really. It can go in the dry, or you know, moderate to moisture, or it can go kind of in a boggy condition as well. So I'll be putting the Helenium Autumnale and one of these, and I will be putting these three plants in my boggy type of area. These three plants are Eryngium Aquaticum, water snakeroot, Eryngium Aquaticum. Three plants here going into the bog area, one wild Senna plant going into the bog area, and the Sneezeweed, the native cultivar of Helenium, going into the bog area. I actually have one Helenium Mardi Gras, beautiful plant I've had for several years, but it does not attract pollinators. And also from the same place, I got two obedient plants, the native species of obedient plant, and this is them here. You can tell, just real nice lush type of plants. I actually had a couple of these that fell loose whenever I was planting, and I put them in separate plots. They had there was 4 of them actually, and they've all got really nice root systems, so I've already got sort of some divisions off of these things here. And I will be putting 5 plants in this boggy type area right over here, affectionately known as the rice paddy. No, we don't grow rice down there, but there's a creek between here and that building you see out there. There's a small stream, and it really stays boggy down there. Right now I can walk down there without getting my feet wet, which is highly unusual because it's not rained any to speak of, and starting on this about a 3-week dry spell here. So let's go down there and put a few plants in. Okay, I just thought I'd give an overview of the area here. Like I say, this is a boggy type of area. Right down there is where I just push my wheelbarrow to with my plants and shovel, spade and fork. Right here, these are not grasses, they're sedges. I'll put the technical name of them up there later on. They came up there and they just volunteered. I didn't even know that they were sedges and not grasses until I sort of started looking it up. This right here is a weeping willow tree that I put out just this season. Hasn't really done much yet. This gigantic tree here is a sycamore tree. I have just a large amount of understory all along this. There's a road that runs right next to this. But yeah, the understory here, if it was native type decent plants, I wouldn't be worried about clearing it out. But a lot of this stuff in here that needs to be cleared out is your usual, your ligustrum and multiflora rose. And I will even be clearing any blackberry stuff out because it's just hard to deal with the blackberry and the briars and stuff. It's just very difficult because they will also take over. But for sure, the multiflora rose and ligustrum and the vining type stuff that chokes everything out. There's a lot of wild grapevine here. A lot of that I will be taking out. Right over here, that's a burn pile. I got to take that in consideration. There is a persimmon tree. And right over here is, I guess you would call it a persimmon grove. None of those are any more than about a, I don't know, about a 8-inch diameter type tree. And they're pretty high. And they do have persimmons on them every year. And the wildlife does eat them every year. I have seen raccoons in the tops of these trees eating persimmons. I have seen raccoons, foxes, and possums on the bottom down there. And if you could have seen the bottom part last year, it was 100% ligustrum. I pulled out, if you include the little seedlings, thousands, literally thousands of ligustrum plants. Anywhere from seedlings to things that were like 3 inches in diameter. So that was about a week-long job there last year. Okay, so let's walk down here to where we're going to plant these 5 plants. I have just another item to show. There's a creek beyond, just beyond all that thicket there is a creek, which it's a small creek, but it did get out of its banks for the first time in 50 years here recently. So hopefully that won't happen again. Here is these Carex sedges, which is and this is the defining feature on them, is these, I guess you would call them seed pods. And there are other Carex sedges with slightly different shaped seed pods than these. Like I say, I'll wind up putting the exact scientific name on the screen. So there's numerous ones of these, which where you see the Carex sedges is where the water pools up the most when it's raining. We've not had rain, like I say, in 3 weeks almost. So I can walk down here for about the first time in memory, just almost. In and amongst and near these Carex sedges is where I will be planting my 5 plants. I will show you one other thing I've got going on. I plant for the pollinators, of course, and I have planted a couple of spice bushes here. I got them from a local native plant nursery. I planted this just this year, and you can see, I mean, this thing has grown quite a bit, like 8 inches, 10 inches or so. Now, part of that growth is this season's growth before I set it out here. Just in the last month, however, it has grown a couple of inches. I did get a couple of spice bush online, dormant spice bush, 2 of them online. This is one of them. It was dormant, and you know, here it is, June the 1st. So I don't think anything's going to happen with this. I'm going to say the technical name of this is spice bush dormant deadifolium. Because it is certainly dead. Out here is another one that I got online, another spice bush, dormant deadifolium. Even if maybe, see, there's a little growth right here, but I'm suspicious if that growth, I'm going to have to dig around a little bit later on. I'm a little suspicious if that growth is even coming from that spice bush, or if it is coming from some other weed. But here's my other spice bush, and it is one of the main host plants, of course, for spice bush swallowtail. And if you have a male and a female plant, which I do not know if I have a male and female plant, I might have two male, might have two female, but if you've got a male and a female, you will have red berries on it in the fall and winter. So I'm going to keep buying plants until I do have a male and a female, ever how long that takes. It may take me a couple of years to figure it out. The blossoms, you can tell both of them bloom in the springtime, and the blossoms look just slightly different, but that is about the only way to tell the difference in them. So with my luck, oops, that's not even one of them there. I don't really know what that is, but I'm leaving it. Also in this area, this is the other spice bush. Also in this area is sassafras bushes, and that is also a host plant for the swallowtail butterfly. So between starting some of these spice bush and the sassafras I've already got, I will ultimately have a large number of swallowtails, and keep on running. And here is another weeping willow tree. My idea on the weeping willow trees is the same as leaving the sedge to just suck up some of the moisture in this area. And I think when the weeping willow get large enough that they will help suck up some of the moisture. Weeping willow, I believe, is actually not a native tree, although they've been around a long time. However, when they've checked out, when these scientists have checked things out as far as beneficialness of trees, the weeping willow have proven out to be really just as beneficial from a wildlife standpoint as the native willow has, so that's a good thing. Okay, so here's going to be the placement of these plants amongst these Carex sedges. We got our wild Senna right here, and then the native Helenium Autumnale right there, and then you've got 1, 2, 3 of the water snakeroots right there, also known as Eryngium Aquaticum. So I really don't know what to expect when I dig into this soil here, just how mucky it's going to be, but I'm not going to, these are native plants, I'm not going to add fertilizer. I actually probably will add a small amount of potting soil, because I have found that just adding just a small amount of potting soil seems to give anything you plant a little bit of a head start. Okay, this is the water snakeroot, 3 of these. And this area is heavily browsed by rabbits, so I may wind up putting some wire cages around these. I don't really know if they like these plants or not, but they probably do. I do imagine this is probably the driest this soil has been down here in over a year. It has almost of a peat type of characteristic to it. It's really quite loamy. Better soil than what I would have figured. Give a close-up of this soil. We'll say this is representative of where I'm going to be planting. So, yeah, as you can see, that is actually some pretty good soil. I wish I had, I wish I had soil like that everywhere. I'm surprised. Some areas it stays boggy, the soil is not all that great, but And maybe if it was real wet right now, I'd have a different opinion of it, but it would still be the same soil. I would just, the perception of it would be different. But yeah, that's some good stuff there. Great little tool right here, by the way. No brand name on it, but a great tool. One of my favorites. I've used it just loads. Now when you dig down a little, bit, the soil here is not anywhere near as nice. This is what you're running into when you dig down. This is more what I was expecting. When you dig down a little, that's what you get. It's still not too bad a soil. It's nice and crumbly at the moment. It's got a certain amount of clay in it, like all the other soil around here does, but overall not too bad. I think when I plant the rest of them, I will go get some of my soil conditioner rather than use up all of my potting soil, because this is going to take a little bit more extra soil in each hole than what I was anticipating. Yeah, it gets pretty hard down there. It's some hard clay down there. Don't let anybody fool you. No wonder it doesn't drain. Just like all the rest of this property, no matter what the first few inches looks like, ultimately down below, hard clay. Yeah, I mean it is it is just rock hard down there at the bottom of this hole. Okay, we got our water snake root here. Let's see what kind of root system we've got on it. Earlier today I wet this down a little bit. Seems fairly hard, so I think we've got a pretty extensive root system. You can see it growing out of the bottom there. Oh yeah, so I'll have to do, and I am quite vicious generally on breaking up all these roots that are twisting around, spiraling around. So let's get that done. Yeah, the obedient plants I planted had even a better root system than this. The root system on the obedient plants, instead of this small gauge type root, is quite big around in comparison. Okay, that seems to be good enough. I like to, sometimes I have to expand my hole a little bit, because I like to spread these roots out. I don't like them to just plop in the ground on top of themselves. I like for the roots to have a nice spreading action to them as much as possible. It's a little bit low, not much low. Okay. And all of these plants I'm putting in are a little bit invasive. I mean, they spread by underground rhizomes. I think every one of these plants does. So it doesn't really matter here. I'm wanting these plants to do a certain amount of spreading. Okay, that's pretty much it. I'll show all 5 plants in the ground here in a minute. I'll show the root system on the other 2 plants so you can see what they look like. We're going to see what the root system on this wild Senna looks like, and by the way, it says on it Senna Maryland, Senna Marylandica. That's what it says. Okay. There we go. Okay. You don't really see any roots on it to speak of, so I'll just be popping that straight in the ground with very minimal roughing up, if any. I should add here on this wild Senna, the reason I put just 1 plant here is because it is just really a nice looking plant. Even the native species of this Senna is just a beautiful plant with beautiful yellow blooms that attracts loads of bumblebees. So I'm putting 1 of them up in my regular garden and watering it quite a bit. So we'll have a good comparison between a boggy situation and just a normal garden type of situation that's well tended and well watered. So 1 of them should do good. Even if this one dies, I'll still be okay because they're supposed to spread quite a bit. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the root of this Helenium, Autumnale. Oh yeah, fairly well developed root system here. Still the fibers aren't quite as big around as it was on the obedient plant. I planted up in the main garden the other day, but I'll be putting some obedient plant down here in this bog area later on. I'm confident the obedient plant could withstand the heavy bog, lots of water. These other roots, maybe not so much. Maybe on paper they do, but I think it would be more for the edge of the bog, but this is pretty much the middle of the bog, but we'll see. Okay, I now have all 5 plants in the ground here and have them marked. Not going to put any cages on it to deter the rabbits until I see a rabbit eating on them. So hopefully they won't eat them all the way to the ground in one night. I'll be checking them daily. There's my wild Senna, and there is my Helena Autumnale, and here are my 3 Snakeroot plants, also known as, I'll put it on there again, Aquaticum something or another, but there they are. So gnat. All that's left now is just to water them in, and I don't say it enough, but this is Zone 7A, North Carolina, so it gets like about 0. You might as well figure it getting 0 most winters. Last winter it got down to about 4, which was not bad. So, gnat, good gracious. Anyway, that's it. Bye everybody.